Hello YouTube, welcome back. I'm Dan, you're watching Payson's Garage. In this video I thought we would continue the walk around on my 87 Merkur XR4Ti. I'm going to do something a little bit different in this video. This is going to be just a one take, no editing, uncut video. The reason being is I've got my video editor absolutely overwhelmed. He started a new job, he's still going to school, and he's trying to process probably 10 videos that I've sent him. So anyways, I apologize in advance if it's a little rough during the transitions and whatnot, but I'll do the best I can. I just wanted to get some content out. So let's go ahead and continue on. We'll take a look at the left front corner of my XR here. Okay, so as I had mentioned in a previous video, there's really not much I haven't touched on this car. So left front corner, obviously the front's the same, but we're looking at the left front corner here. So I've got updated suspension, updated brakes, bushings throughout, poly bushings throughout. So let's go ahead and break it on down. First of all, the brakes. So there's a gentleman on YouTube, his name's Tim Spencer, and he's put together some really nice brake kits for these cars. He's got a kit that you can use, standard focus parts, newer focus parts up front, but I wanted to switch over to something a little bit more high performance. So he assembled this kit here. So we've got the Wilwood hat. This is just a standard circle track rotor, and then this setup requires this spacer ring here in the middle. Let me get this last lug off here. I'll pull the rotor off. So there's that setup. So it's really nice. It's a vented rotor, fairly inexpensive. The rotors, anyways. The hats weren't inexpensive. I went ahead and took the extra step. I Loctited it and safety wired the bolts, so I shouldn't have any issues. Alright, let me set that aside. So what I was saying earlier was to run that hat, all it requires is this simple spacer here. So pretty straightforward with the rotor setup. Next, I updated to a Wilwood, I believe this is the ultralight, and it's the 4-piston model, and this is a radial mount design because Tim was able to figure out that Wilwood has a radial mount with the proper spacing for our stock caliper mounting ears there. And then all that was required, well, let me back up a step. So the radial mount is spaced ever so slightly. You can see those washers in there. So he, in his kit, he includes all the hardware, and he includes a handful of washers so you can get this spaced properly. So, you know, in and out or left to right, I believe I threw 3 washers in here, and that got me spaced on my rotor properly. And then as far as mounting the caliper, I just dropped one, but he has these aluminum spacers machined, so those go on the bolt there, and then that positions the rotor properly. You know, sits on the proper depth on the rotor. So that's all it takes. Some washers to space the radial mount, some machined aluminum spacers to space the caliper out properly, and then he found that circle track rotor in the Wilwood hat. So basically that rounds out the, oh, let me take it back. It doesn't round out the brake package, because then he also includes these real nice hoses, and he got them built so it mounts in the factory mount. You can even use, you can't price it, well, yeah, right there. It uses the factory retaining clip. Really nice setup, very easy to install. And then I upgraded to the ARP wheel studs, since Ford liked to run 4 lug or 4 stud. I'm trying to think exactly what I want to say. So basically, you know, 4 rotors, 4 lugs. So 4 lug setup on, You know, this car, the Mustangs, a handful of other cars in the 80s, pinching pennies, I'm sure. So because of that, I updated to the ARP studs, give me a little bit more strength, and it gives me more length. I just recently purchased these lugs, and they're a little bit thinner than I was hoping, so I'm not sure if I want to run these. I'm a little uncomfortable just because they are so small. There's not much holding the wheel on, but we'll see. Okay, so let's move on to the suspension. So a number of years ago, I got lucky and I found a guy advertising a Rapido suspension kit. Guy lived over in San Francisco. It was a complete brand new kit, which from Rapido it includes Koni struts, Koni shocks, larger front sway bar, larger rear sway bar, the poly bushings for the sway bars. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in the kit. But that's what I got with the kit I bought, and it worked out real well. I've got a cousin that lives over in California, so he ran over to San Francisco, picked the kit up for me. Worked out real well. So then I went a step further. Let me pull my light out here. I went a step further and sent these adjustable Konis over to MC Squared Racing over on the East Coast. A couple guys that were real successful in autocrossing these cars. They developed a coilover kit. So I turned my struts into coilovers, which one, it gets rid of the spring perch, excuse me, and gives me a lot more clearance for fitting wider wheels in here. And then second, obviously, it gives me much more adjustability. Nice thing about their kit is it includes this helper spring. So if the suspension ever drops out like it is now, your spring still stays under tension. Real nice kit. And then up in the top, it's attached to my Godfrey caster camber plates. One other thing I wanted to mention, so the fender liners or wheel well liners, whatever you want to call them, they're just absolutely brittle as can be after, all those years. These cars are, what, 30 plus years old. Well, somebody on the boards or online years ago discovered that you can run one of the later model Mustangs with some minor cutting. You can run the later model Mustang wheel well liner, and you can get them off Rock Auto dirt cheap. I want to say something like maybe $9 a piece, just absolutely ridiculously cheap. So it didn't take me very long, maybe 15 minutes per side to get them trimmed and fit, and I think it worked out really, really well. Alright, let me set my light back in here. Alright, nothing different with steering other than the rack is mounted on solid aluminum bushings, and I've got a bearing mounted on the steering shaft, which is supposed to take out all the play. I've also got an updated rag joint, if you want to call it that, but mine's in really good shape, so I didn't bother changing that out yet. Alright, let's take a look at the control arm. My dog's here to greet me. What, Mocha? What do you want? I gotta do this video. What do you want? Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, stock control arm, but with upgraded bushings. So I'm running the PowerFlex purple bushings on the inboard. And then one other interesting piece here, another upgrade from David Godfrey. He created this adjustable camber kit. This is before I got his upper strut mount plates. But this here allows you to, you can loosen your bolt, and it's basically it's a cam that you can turn and adjust your camber by adjusting the mounting point, the inner mounting point of your lower control arm. Right now I've just got it set basically in the stock location, and because I've updated to his upper caster camber plates, I don't know if I'll ever mess with this. But this was something he came out with first. Let me go ahead and move the camera around to the back, away from the steering arm, and you can get better. Yeah, see, so let me move the light here. So there's the rear of it. So basically go ahead and loosen your mounting bolt, and then you can put a wrench on those adjusters and basically crank them in or out, move your arm in and out, and adjust your camber. Okay, now these cars, the design of these cars, the sway bar runs into the control arm, so it not only keeps your control arm from moving, but it also acts as the sway bar. And I've got upgraded PowerFlex bushings in that joint also. Other than that, stock ball joint, there's really nothing you can do. These are non-replaceable, and I have never read or come across where anybody's come up with anything to change out the ball joints. So brand new arms with updated bushings, upgraded bushings in there. Alright, move back over here. The sway bar, like I said earlier, I got a Rapido suspension kit in this. This is a 1 1/4 inch sway bar. Excuse me, not 1 1/4, I just measured it. 1 1/8 inch sway bar. And like I said, in the kit, it came with the sway bar bushings, so I got mounted right there. Oh, and then one other thing about the steering I had mentioned. So I got the rack solid mounted, and then the other thing I'm doing is I'm running Volvo power steering, and it's mounted right there. I got a 90-degree fitting, built myself a pressure line. I just have to hook up rubber hose for the return line. But that worked out really well. I cut the, you know, give me just a second here. Let me adjust this light and get some more light in here. There we go. Okay, let's pull that back out. So when I went and got this pump out of the junkyard, I took the factory bracket, and I got very lucky. I already had a new mount in here that I had made because I put my washer tank under the fender here. So I had a mount there that I was able to basically just cut an extension and mount it into the factory mount, and then on the other side of the pump a couple of bolts drilled into factory sheet metal, and I was able to get it mounted very, very easily using the factory Volvo mount. And then the idea, let me see if I can get this back and get in here. Like I say, I apologize, I'm not going to be I'm trying to do the best I can about that. Worry about editing this. So right here is where the system gets filled, and I'm going to cut a hole and then run the tube up, and this particular pump comes with a small reservoir. So the reservoir will sit just on the inside of my engine bay in front of the wheel well. So I got a glare on my screen so I can't, okay, yeah. So yeah, right there, and then that'll go up. It's just about 1.5 inches, I'd say, up to where I'll cut the hole and pass the hose through and connect it to the small reservoir. So all in all, this worked out really well. You know, I picked this thing up and I wasn't quite sure where to monitor, how I was going to do it, and you know, I just sat down, spent about an hour kind of planning it out, looking things over, and it turned out to be a very easy install. That. I think I've covered everything. Studs, suspension, coilover, the brakes, sway bar. Yeah, I think that does it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and flip this back over. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed that continuation of the walk around of my 87 Merkur. I'll go ahead and get this video posted, and give me a few days. We'll do another one. We'll move on to the rear end, and we'll take a look at what I've got going on in the rear of the car. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Remember, keep it PG.